Good evening. It is 6:30 p.m. and I call this meeting to order. Please stand and we will recite the Pledge of Allegiance. Good evening. This is a regularly scheduled meeting of the Winona City Council. This evening, I have a couple items to mention. We will be removing item 5.4, the Bluffs Traverse project. And then we will also be canceling the closed session to review the city manager performance this evening. With that, I will hand it over to City Manager Chad Ubel.
Mayor and Council, a couple comments tonight, but I want to start with a retirement. Water operator Paul Martin retired on November 18th, 2022, after 33 years of service. Paul began employment with the city on April 24th, 1989 in the street division. He transferred to the water division in March of 1990 and worked his way up to the position of operator by September of 1998. It's very easy to take for granted the availability of clean water. And as operator, Paul, along with his co-workers, were responsible to ensure that 2.6 million gallons of water per day was properly treated, and there was adequate pressure in the distribution system to push water to 8,392 service connections. Paul would run lab tests, ensure fluoride and chlorine were appropriately added, check and maintain pump stations to ensure proper operation, install and maintain water meters, and flush hydrants. On the customer service side, Paul would communicate with the public when they called with questions, help customers troubleshoot high water bills, and work with team members, often in cold temperatures, to return water service after a water main break. Co-workers commented that Paul was polite and fun to have around. He was a valuable team member and took pride in his work. His supervisor added that Paul was always dependable and quickly responded to emergencies. So on behalf of the entire city staff, city council, and Winona community, we congratulate water operator Paul Martin on his retirement after 33 years of service. May he enjoy a long, healthy, and happy retirement. Paul couldn't be with us tonight, but of course, we always want to recognize employees when they retire. So again, congratulations to Paul Martin. The second item I'd like to discuss tonight or comment on is our ISO rating. And there's, in a sense, two sections. We've talked a lot about our ISO rating as it relates to the fire department. There are two ISO ratings that we received. So the first one that I do want to mention is the ISO Building Code Effectiveness Grading Classification Schedule, which is used to provide advisory information related to insurance underwriting. In 2015, the City of Winona Building Division had a score of personal class 5 and commercial class 4. The good news is that in 2022, results show that grading was improved to 4 for 1 and 2 family residential property, and a classification of 4 was maintained for commercial industrial property. So again, like golf, you want a lower score. So we improved from the 5 to 4 and kept the 4 rating for the commercial. I want to give thanks to the building official, Chad Summer, for cooperation in the recent survey and of course the improved results. The second piece that I would like to go over, and this is a bit more lengthy, but I think it's pertinent, is the ISO rating for fire and how it relates not only to the fire department, but our water supply as well. So ISO collects and evaluates information from communities in the United States on their structure fire suppression capabilities. The data is analyzed for our fire suppression rating schedule, and then a public protection classification grade is assigned to the community. The surveys are conducted conducted whenever it appears that there's a possibility of a PPC change. As such, the PCP program provides important up-to-date information about fire protection services through the country. Excuse me. What does that mean? ISO's public protection classification, otherwise the PPC, as I mentioned, plays an important role in the underwriting process at insurance companies. In fact, most US insurers, including the largest ones, use PPC information as part of their decision-making when deciding what business to write, coverages to offer, or prices to charge for personal or commercial property insurance. So ISO's PPC program evaluates communities according to a uniform set of criteria, incorporating nationally recognized standards developed by the National Fire Protection Association and the American Water Works Association. The community's PPC grade depends on needed fire flows, which are representative building locations used to determine the threshold amount of water necessary for fire suppression purposes, emergency communications, which includes emergency reporting, telecommunicators, dispatch systems, the fire department, including equipment, staffing, training, geographic distribution of fire companies, operational considerations, and community risk reduction. And the last criteria is water supply, including inspection and flow testing of hydrants, alternative water supply operations, and a careful evaluation of the amount of available water compared to the amount needed to suppress fires up to 3,500 gallons per minute. That's a lot to say, that we go through an intense evaluation for an ISO rating. And I'm happy to report that the fire department maintained the status of 2. And again, it's much like golf. The only better score is 1. And 2 keeps our insurance rates for our community members low and our commercial properties low because of that ISO rating. So speaking of ISO ratings, the last piece that I did want to mention this evening is that to provide an update on the public safety building and community center. Of course, in the ISO rating, you heard the importance of geographical locations of our fire companies. So we have been working with BKV to provide a proposal for continued services to include exploring standalone fire station, standalone police station, as well as a combined police and fire facility. The locations to further study will impact the cost of those additional services provided by BKV, and staff will likely bring something back to City Council for review in January. The delay in bringing a proposal back is related to location. Since the county proposed meeting with the City Council to discuss options regarding the LEC, city staff has been meeting with county staff to better understand their request, including the possibility of renovating the existing LEC. The city has also been in contact with the architect on the jail project to seek answers on the feasibility of a project at the current LEC. We're awaiting the results of that inquiry, yet staff feel that the renovation of the current LEC is unlikely due to the footprint of the current jail project. However, prior to making that assumption, we would prefer the architect provide a detailed response regarding the possibility of renovation of the current LEC. I say all this to illustrate that we're continuing to work as directed by the council, yet I feel it's important we bring answers like, can the LEC be renovated or remodeled forward to the council prior to spending more funds with BKV. So staff would prefer to have BKV only research or continue their research on locations that are viable. So we'd like to bring back more information regarding that. I also don't want us to lose sight of the community center in this discussion. Staff still recommends that the community center be located at the East Recreation Center block. Plans up to construction documents are in place. And again, as the public safety building discussion evolves, funding for these projects will need to be addressed. So I did want to provide that update to council. We continue to work on public safety. And again, like to have a proposal back to council in January from BKV to extend their services. That's it for this evening.
Very good. Thank you, Chad. I'll now ask city clerk to take roll call.
Mayor Sherman,
Here.
Councilmember Young,
Here.
Moeller,
Here.
Alexander, Iden, Borzakowski, Rapinski.
Here.
Under the required public hearings, the first item is item 2.1. It's the 2023 proposed property tax levy and proposed budget. This is a public hearing.
For each public hearing, staff will make a short presentation and then I will ask if anyone from the public wishes to speak to the matter. Each person needs to clearly state your name and address, and you'll be given up to 3 minutes to make your testimony. I will call 3 times for public comments. Once the hearing is closed, the public may not participate in discussion by the city council. I will now open the public hearing. Does anybody from the public wish to speak? Again, I will ask if anybody wishes to speak regarding item 2.1, 2023 proposed property tax levy and proposed budget. And one more time, I'll ask if anyone from the public wishes to speak regarding the 2023 proposed property tax levy and proposed budget. Hearing no one, I will close the public hearing.
Mayor, I would move that we adopt the attached resolutions.
We have a motion from Eileen, a second from Steve. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Item 2.2 is a Visit Winona 2023 proposed budget.
I will now open the public hearing for the Visit Winona 2023 proposed budget. Tonight we have Visit Winona Chair Lou Overhog. Would you mind saying a few words?
Just a few words. Thanks for having us. I'm 2022 Visit Winona Chair. I'm here with Pat Mutter, the Executive Director. I think most of you know, and John Casper, who will be next year's chair. I think there's also some staff in the room as well, which we thank for coming. You have our financials, our budget for 2023. I won't get into the details of that, but if you had any questions after this presentation, either myself or Pat would be able to answer. The 2022 was our best year ever for Visit Winona. Lodging receipts are way up. Our previous best year was 2019, prior to the pandemic. Going through the pandemic, there was a couple of years essentially that lodging receipts, travel, and visitors obviously were way down, as was our budget. We had to take drastic measures through the pandemic, but came out of it in good shape. Through the last couple of years, 2021 started later in the summer. Things looking good, and 2022 has just continued. Part of that's probably because of things like MnDOT project on Mankato Avenue. There's been a lot of construction workers filling beds for multiple months. But also prices are up for hotel rooms, which helps with that tax base. So things are good in that regard. I also wanted to mention all of our Facebook social media posts have also been receiving very high visits, and those numbers are up quite a bit, over 50% from previous year. As well as some of the highlights from our media Pat provided me, we won most charming small town from Tips to Discover. I think that was a social media outlet. One of the 10 most beautiful towns in the Midwest, according to World Atlas. One of the United States' best small cities, according to Phoebes. I don't know what that is. Minnesota, the most beautiful Christmas towns from only in your state. Sweetest travel town in Minnesota, thetravel.com. It goes on. people are recognizing Winona, and for a good reason, I think. So with that, I just wanted to thank the city of Winona, all of our partners, and including a special shout out to the hotels and lodging establishments who fund Visit Winona. With that, I guess we'd entertain any questions.
Any questions at all? No? Okay, thank you, Lou. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Does anybody else from the public wish to speak regarding the Visit Winona 2023 proposed budget? And lastly, I will ask, does anybody wish to speak regarding public hearing item 2.2, Visit Winona 2023 proposed budget? Hearing no one, I will now close the public hearing.
A motion to approve the attached resolution.
Second.
Motion from Eileen, second from Steve. All those in favor? Any discussion? No? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Under the petitions, requests and communications, item 3.1, the license agreement for portable restrooms.
For the remainder of this meeting, residents are only allowed to speak if they have a request before council, and I have recognized you to speak.
And make a motion to approve the agreement and authorize the city manager and city clerk to execute the agreement.
Second.
We have a motion from Eileen, a second from Steve. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Item 3.2 is an appointment to the Winona Athletic Board of Michael Christensen.
Move to approve confirm the appointment.
Second.
Motion from Eileen, second from Steve. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
Item 3.3 is a request for a stop sign at Sunset Drive at Edgewood Road.
Move that we introduce and approve the attached ordinance.
Second.
Motion from Steve. Eileen beat you there. Second from Eileen. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
Item 3.4 is a request to accept a donation from the Winona Lions Clubs.
Move we adopt the attached resolution accepting the donation.
Second.
Motion from Eileen, second from Steve. We do have Jack Craig from the Winona Lions Club. Jack, would you mind coming up and saying a few words?
The tough part, you know that.
We got to remember to vote after. Okay.
Okay. First of all, this ends phase 2 of our Every Child's Dream project. The first phase, as you know, was the overall playground, which was pretty fantastic. The second phase is to build 2 pavilions, each housing 4 picnic tables, and then an adjoining or a additional canopy to cover a couple of the park benches. And the funds are, well, this isn't the actual check, but it's close enough. It'd be hard to cash this one, but the money is there. I would first of all like to thank someone who's not here. The person who, when I first brought the playground request to in the beginning, was Maynard. He was sitting at his desk in his office and he literally jumped up and shook my hand. He said, "I've been wanting this for years." Well, then the torch was passed to Chad and now to Patrick, and all 3 have been fantastic to work with. So I'd like to commend them. The committee consists of members of the Winona Noon, the Winona Rivertown, and the Winona Sunset Lions. We worked in accord with the Winona Community Foundation, who is our fiscal sponsor, and Nancy Brown is here with that. But we had a tremendous boost for this second phase from the Celanese Community Foundation. Did I name that right? They came in and offered 50+% of the funds for the project. And so this project is not a Lions only project. This is the Lions and Celanese Community Foundation project. And they need as much thank you and adulation as we do for this. If it wasn't for them, this program or project would have lasted at least another year. And so I really, really thank them for that. So that's all I have to say. I'd like to call all of the committee and Nancy up front. We'd like to present the check to our honorable mayor. And I will let the people in the committee introduce themselves. As I just have a couple of selling people. And I got it on me.
I'm Rosie Waterwoods from the Winona Sunset Lions.
I'm Sue Craig from the Winona Noon Lions.
Jim Kreisel from the Winona Noon Lions.
Ramon Barreda from Celanese.
James Blackburn from Celanese.
And Monica Siegfried with Celanese.
Nancy Brown with the Winona Community Foundation.
And I would like to say that Nancy Bolts, who was a very vibrant member of our committee and could not make it tonight. And she was part of us in respecting him.
I can see. I don't want to see. Thank you all very much.
What do we do with this? Yeah. Yeah, because that's WCF property. Thank you much.
Yes, we still need to vote on that one. We got a little out of order, but that's okay. We're all right. Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor, move to adopt the attached resolution, accepting the donation with joy.
We already did.
Okay.
Yep. Any discussion though?
No.
No. Holy cow.
Yeah.
Awesome donation. Thank you to everyone involved in that. That is awesome. It's just plain and simple great. So thanks again. All right. We have the motion in place already in the second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Item 3.5 is the Winona Heritage Preservation Commission 2021-2022 Annual Report.
And tonight we have HPC Chair Emily Karash Casey.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We are here to present the annual report of the Heritage Preservation Commission. It is part of our requirement as a certified local government that we create this report and submit it to the Minnesota State Historic Preservation Office. But there are a few things that we want to draw your attention to because the HPC does quite a bit throughout the year that we know doesn't always get noticed. So the preservation commissioners are required to attend the statewide conference that SHPO puts on. We sent 3 commissioners this year up in Duluth, which is a great continued learning experience to bring that expertise back to our community. In addition, we developed some priorities in 2022, focusing on the Wyndham Park Residential Historic District guidelines. And looked at grant work for the Lake Park Band Shell, which is approaching its centennial celebration in a couple years, It's almost 2023, so in about a year. And Dr. Greg Gout worked up this nomination. It will go to review in early 2023 to be all set up. We hope, of course, for its centennial celebration in 2024. The HPC also received a CLG grant, of which we've received money in the past, but this specific grant went to develop incentives and outreach education as a historic resource document for building owners to help inform them of what funds are available at the city level, state level, and national level as historic or old building owners to receive to keep our aging building stock in good shape and to inform people as they take over new buildings as owners, what's available to them as they're considering rehabilitation and how to keep especially designated buildings upkept because it can be daunting to take ownership of a building that's listed on a national register and not really know what you can and cannot do. And we want to encourage folks to keep buildings up because the greenest building is a building that is already standing, and we don't want to see any more buildings come down in Winona. We are also really proud of the fact that we collaborated with Winona County Historical Society and folks over at the Winona County Courthouse to celebrate Preservation Month this year. It's been something we've wanted to do for a while, and we actually got it done. There were some really well interpreted tours over at the courthouse, and we gave out 2 preservation awards, one for preservation project to the Central Square folks over who turned the Central School into apartments, as well as an individual award to Lacey Korb, who has been really integral to the tour boats coming through, has led a lot of hop on, hop off bus tours for folks and visitors coming to Winona, as well as just in general for the Winona County Historical Society and the tours they do. Last, each quarter, a different group of commissioners is tasked with serving on the Certificate of Appropriateness Committee. This committee reviews designs that come forward for facade work, for signage, as we do have sign requirements in the historic downtown area. We wanted to show you an example of what we like to see when we are doing these certificates of appropriation. You can see some examples of documentation of what we look at, what we measure against the Unified Development Code and Historic Design Guidelines, and you'll see the list of COAs that we approved this year. Thanks.
Any questions for Emily? No? Thanks, Emily.
Thank you.
Appreciate it very much. I will entertain a motion.
Move to receive and file the report.
Second.
Motion from Eileen, second from Steve. All those in favor, say, any discussion? No, didn't think so. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Under unfinished business, item 4.1, award the contract for the South Baker Street reconstruction to A1 Excavating with a bid of $2,429,908.
Move to adopt the attached resolution awarding the contract to A1 Excavating.
Second.
Motion from Eileen, second from Steve. Any discussion? Steve,
Brian, could I ask, how did things turn out? We had this question about costs of shooting that water line into the residences, and that was unknown. Do we have a known number, and how did that turn out? What would that assessment look like? I looked on here and I couldn't reliably find it.
yeah, it's pretty in depth.
Lot of numbers. I think you had a placeholder number of 2,500 if I remember correctly.
They actually did it slightly higher. Pretty sure I can bring that number down. We'll probably end up going water. We'll probably be underestimate.
Okay. Okay, so we don't quite know, but we might change our materials, and that could drop things by $800. So we're thinking under 2,000 is
More than likely under 2,000.
where we think we might land.
Yep.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Eileen?
I was just curious along those lines, how this compared to, we had this in our budget, yes. How does,
We're slightly underestimate. But
Okay.
it's pretty close.
okay,
Yeah.
great, thank you.
Within 100,000.
Okay.
Very good. Any other questions? Hearing none. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Under new business, item 5.1, the Ice Park Agreement for Use of Land.
Motion to direct the mayor and city clerk to execute the agreement.
Second.
Motion from Eileen, second from Steve. Any discussion? Eileen?
I just want to echo what the folks from the Rec Alliance presented last meeting, I believe, which is that this ice climbing wall that we have here in Winona is the second largest in the country, which is such a great attraction to folks who are recreating in the winter. So I'm very grateful to the property owners and the groups that organize this entire project through the winter.
Absolutely.
I'm just,
Steve?
thank you. I'm just grateful to the private property owners that are willing to allow a water line going across. I mean, what a nice deal to help us out and allow us to do that. So
Yep.
shout out to them. Thank you.
Absolutely. I'll echo that as well. Any other discussion, comments, questions? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Item 5.2 is the 2023 Minnesota City Participation Program.
Motion to adopt the resolution and authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute the agreement.
Second.
Motion from Eileen, second from Steve. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Item 5.3 is the ordinance on disorderly uses on the premises.
Mayor, I would like to motion to postpone this until our next meeting, if I may. We're missing quite a few council members and I would really like to get their perspectives on this issue.
Do we have a second? Nope. Okay. I'll entertain another motion.
I would move that we adopt the agreement. I'm sorry, I'm trying to get there. We introduce the ordinance, the disorderly use on premises ordinance. Thank you.
I would second that.
We have a motion from Steve, a second from Aaron. Any discussion? Eileen?
I really appreciate the presentation we had before the meeting, just to get some more clarification on this. And I understand that this is a tool that the council can now use to, in Councilmember Young's words, prod landlords. I still have quite a few concerns about how this may affect tenants who may not be maybe living in the same dwelling with someone who is violating certain codes. And I just have a lot of concerns that this could be, I worry that this could be harmful. I know we have a lot of homeowners who are really concerned about the neighborhoods, and I don't take that lightly, but I still have a lot of concerns about this, so.
Thanks, Eileen. Steve?
We've gone through a lengthy process. We've heard from the city. We've heard from police. We've heard from inspections. We've heard from Lucy McMartin. We've heard from homeowners. The time has come to move forward with this. We actually pulled this back and we did a bit of a rewrite that I really think balances things out, balancing out the rights and responsibilities of the neighbors, of our city, our public, the landlords, and it's time we move ahead on this. I didn't know the word of the evening would be prod, but that's what this is. It's a prod. It is a prod for the landlord to enter into cooperation, to write the to actively work with the city to solve problems. The city has no right to evict people, to evict tenants. That's a separate issue that the courts handle. But it does force this ordinance that we are proposing and that I support, forces landlords to cooperate with the city. And again, we have very, very few of them. We have excellent landlords generally, but we do have some problem properties, and this brings the prod.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Mayor. I did receive a lot of phone calls from residents, renters, and after hearing everything talked about today and understanding that the landlords from the Winona Housing Association came up with this with the city, I did receive phone calls, and my first question to those individuals was, are you part of the Winona Housing Association? Have you talked to them? Well, I heard no, no, no. I think after the city worked with it, as Mr. Young said, in conjunction with them, they wrote this up, they came up with the thing. I'm in full support of this, knowing that the Winona Housing Association worked with the city. They were supportive of this. And again, as Steve said, it's a tool. it does assist it and it's useful on all ends. So I will be supporting this.
Thank you, Aaron. Any other comments, questions, discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Mr. Mayor,
Chris?
it takes 4 votes to pass an ordinance.
Okay. Motion denied.
Does he want to give advice on the next? Can they make another motion?
Mayor, may I make another motion that we bring this back at our next meeting?
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Motion from Aaron, second from Eileen.
So Mayor and Council, sorry. I just want to interject one comment concern that I would have is that if you bring it back at the very next meeting, it's the last meeting of the year, you're going to have a change in council. So you do a first reading of an ordinance and then a second reading of an ordinance in January. So just want you to be cognizant of that. If you want to discuss that, of course, that's up to you. Understand the ordinance is a first reading, then a second reading. And so in a sense, 2 council bodies are making a decision on the ordinance. So just something to consider. I'm not suggesting one way or the other.
So I will need to we have a motion on the table.
I'd like to maintain my motion. I think after this, council has been the one that's dealt with this. We've seen it. I think we can handle this before the new council comes in.
Okay.
Point of order, we can't because we have one meeting left. So maybe I'm misunderstanding something, but if we delay this, we have one more meeting this year. But we have to have 2 readings on this.
The next one will be with the new council.
So it will be a split decision.
It would come as part of the consent agenda.
Right. If we delay this, and delay it to the next meeting, it will be 2 different councils that will read through this.
Yep.
I'm fine with that.
All right. All those in favor of postponing to the next meeting? Say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
Item 5.4 was withdrawn from the agenda. So moving on to council concerns.
We'll start with Councilmember Mueller. Very good. Councilmember Young?
Ski trails are open at St. Mary's. Lights are on till 9 o'clock at night.
Great.
Life is good.
Thank you. Councilmember Rupinsky.
Nothing this evening, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And under the consent agenda, there are 2 items. Approval of the minutes from November 21st and the final adoption of an ordinance to amend chapter 68.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion from Eileen, second from Steve. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
Mayor, the time being 7:08, I would move we adjourn.
Second.
Motion from Eileen, second from Steve. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.